First question I have to ask you: what's the health situation with Melo?
Yeah, well, he's good to go, so he's going to give it a go tonight. He's been very durable, Melo, so he's still leading the league in minutes played, 38 a game. The 27 points, 8 rebounds is taking a big toll on him down the stretch, but he's good to go tonight.
What's the mood of the team right now? The tragic number is down to 2. It's going to take a Hail Mary, Walt, so are they confident? How would you describe their feelings going into this game against Toronto?
It's the old proverbial one game at a time.
Right.
That's what they keep talking. So they know it's almost mathematically they still have a shot, so they just have to keep winning their games and hope that the Hawks can lose. The Hawks are in Brooklyn tonight. And for the Raptors, guys, this is a big game. I mean, they can clinch the Atlantic Division title by beating the Knicks tonight or Brooklyn losing tonight. And obviously that will give them the home court advantage in the first round of the playoffs.
I'm wondering, you see the Knicks play right now, Clyde, and J.R. Smith is a different player than he was earlier in the season. And, some people celebrate that. It frustrates me. So let me ask you, what happened? Why couldn't he play like this at the beginning after the 5-game suspension?
Well, that's one of the problems when you look at this team, Mike. I think Phil Jackson has to try to figure out, is it a revelation or aberration what JR is doing right now? We know how woefully he started out, missed the 5-game suspension, and then just the erratic play up until you just alluded to the last 2 or 3 weeks. Also, look at Shumpert. What about Shumpert? We thought this would be a breakout season for him. Is this an aberration? Is he a better player? Will he come out of it? He hasn't stepped up to expectations. So I think these are some of the decisions the Knicks obviously are going to have to make when they start evaluating this team, especially Phil Jackson. When you look at JR, when you look at Shumpert, I think Hardaway's a bona fide player. I think what he's done, he should only get better. But Bargnani, Kenyon Martin, will he come back? So a lot of major decisions to be made by the Knicks.
Yeah, there's no question about it. And also, we hear so much about the loss of Jason Kidd from last year, Walt. And the only reason you can bring up Jason Kidd is because of the leadership he brought. Because he wasn't a great player down the stretch. He wasn't an offensive presence. So do you think Phil is comfortable with the leadership in that room? Or does he have to go out and get somebody to be a major leader on this team?
Well, I think that's one of the things they lack is leadership. When the team is going bad, no one steps up. It gets in their faces, call team meetings. We've been talking about that, guys, that things are going awry. You got to call a team meeting and talk it over. But no one on this team has been able to do that. So I think Melo leads by example. Amari leads by example. So they definitely need that guy in the locker room that can galvanize a team when things are going awry.
What do you think the better matchup for the Nets would be, Walt, in the first round? Would it be facing the Raptors or would it be facing the Bulls?
I think the Raptors, we saw last season, the Bulls were, the Nets should have taken care of the Bulls, but the matchups were not good. So probably the Raptors, this would be the first time in 7 years, guys, that they would be in the playoffs again. And, DeRozan, a very young player, first-time All-Star this season. Lowry really had an All-Star season. So those are the two guys that are catalysts for this team. And they are very inexperienced as far as playing in the playoffs. But again, when you look at the Raptors, guys, you remember Lowry was floundering. This was a big season for him, and they put a lot of faith in him, and he came through this year. So he's averaging 17 and 8. DeRozan, a guy they thought would be a star for them, even when they had Bargnani. So he finally became an all-star. And right now they're the most dynamic backcourt in the NBA as far as scoring. So these two players have catapulted this team into the playoffs this season.
Now, settle an argument for us from earlier in the show. Now, the Nets shouldn't be thinking about the second round because they're going to have their hands full in the first. But if you're, as a former player like you are, Walt, what would you rather take on? A Heat team, if you're the Nets, a team you beat all 4 times you faced them, first team ever to sweep a LeBron James team in the regular season, or would you rather take on a Pacer team who you lost all 4 games to, but a Pacer team that has obviously fallen on hard times at the end of the season? So who would you rather have?
I think they would go with the Pacers because they know the Heat is going to be a different scenario once they do get into the playoffs, albeit they've swept them. But I think they would have a better chance against the Pacers right now. We mentioned the Pacers and their trouble, team that can't really score. They've had trouble scoring, a very good defensive team. But I think the Nets will rather take their chances with the Pacers.
All right, now, Walt, you got the Yankees and the Red Sox tonight. You got the Knicks and the Raptors. You got the Nets and the Hawks. So I'm sure that Walt's wine and dine is just hopping tonight.
Yeah, we're just getting over the March Madness. So obviously UConn, the champions now. So a lot of people have been coming out. We thought we'd see them Sunday. There was supposed to be a 1 o'clock game against Chicago. Now it's been moved to 7 o'clock. So I hope the fans come out after that game. I'll be hanging out at Clyde's Wine and Dine. Again, 10th Avenue and 37th Street. There's parking on 38th and 10th. And we got all the state-of-the-art TVs in there to watch all the games. You can watch 3 different games at one time. So I hope the fans continue to come out.